Hey guys, it's John with ReelBlue Custom Rods, and today one of the things I'm working on is prepping a lot of fishing rods for some unibut application. I've got a few different ones here. Both of these AFTCOs are size 2 with black and gold, and then just black. We have, of course, our ferrules at the top. And then this is a size 4 large curved unibut for a bigger rod that I'm building. And so today what I wanted to do is really just talk about the application and show you how to, attach the ferrule portion. That is this piece here of the unibut. How do you attach that to your fishing rod? But first, I just wanted to take a moment and thank my current channel members for their continued support to my business and to this channel. SR or Scott, David Brockstedt, and Randall Schroeder. Your support means a lot to me, so thank you very much. If you are not currently a member of the ReelBlue Custom Rods YouTube channel, I have 3 levels of membership available: member, elite member, and super fan. And you can join by clicking the link in the description below or by hitting the join button on the homepage. So let's go ahead and get back after it. So again, I'm doing a lot of work. I'm prepping a lot of fishing rods today, and I'm attaching a lot of unibuts. So let's go ahead and pick up and get started on how to install a unibut on any type of fishing rod, whether it's a fishing rod, a kite rod, or anything like that. Anything that you've got going on, this is how you add the unibut and the ferrule for that unibut to your fishing rod. So the next thing I want to talk about really is adding the ferrule of the unibut to the blank. And the way we're going to do that, as you can see, once it slides over, all right, it's got a fairly good fit right here at the end. And then of course, as it goes up, it's going to get a little looser, but not too much loose. So the first thing I want to do is I want to prepare the surface, which is important in any rod build that we do, right? So what I want to use is a 3M pad, and I just want to scuff up that shiny portion of the blank. And you can see how now it's got that dull look to it. Take your hand or a shop towel, a little piece of a shop towel, just go over the top of that and take that off. And then that surface is prepared properly. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, now that I have the surface of the blank prepared properly, I want to use some of this mud tape or this mesh tape to take up some of the space when the ferrule slides over the top, right? So the next thing I want to do is I just want to go ahead and put some mesh tape down on there, but I don't want to use this whole piece that pretty much covers that whole blank. I want to cut it down a little bit. And I think what I want to do is I want to cut it down to about size of 3 blocks, basically, or the width of 3 blocks on the mesh tape. So I just cut that down. And then what I want to do is put that over the top. I'm going to put that right over the top here, not all the way at the top, but over the top. And then I'm just going to start wrapping that mesh tape around. Remember, I went with 3 blocks, so I put the first piece over it. Now I want to take the ferrule and slide it over. I still have a little wiggle room. So what I want to do is I want to cut another piece. Now I have that part cut, so I'll lay that right over the top of that there. And again, I'm just using this mesh tape to take up space when that ferrule slides over. and that is a good fit. So that's where I want to stay at right there. And I think I'm going to put one more piece on just below it. So I'm going to come back. And now what I want to do is I'm going to put that down here a little bit lower. And you won't need as much because, of course, the diameter of the rod is a little thicker down there towards the bottom, so you shouldn't need as much. Again, we're just using this to take up space and help us get a good fit. Yep, so I like that. I know I like the top one. All right, so I have my 2 pieces of mesh tape to help create and take up space on this blank. Why am I using mesh tape? Why do I prefer to go with mesh tape versus something like, you know, your regular masking tape? Well, the reason why is because the holes that's created by the tape. So what that does for me, if I use masking tape, basically my epoxy or my 2-part epoxy, my paste, my adhesive, it's basically just going to go around the tape to secure the product. But when you use a mud tape like this that has the holes in it, it also, yes, it takes up space, but it also allows your adhesive to get down in the holes and also attach itself to the blank there and the component that you're attaching. And in this case, that's the ferrule. And we'll set that down. The next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I prepare the ferrule properly. So what I want to do is I want to roll up my 3M pad, the same one I used to scar the bottom of the, or to rough up the surface on the blank. So I'm going to stick that inside the ferrule. Just get it in there and turn. All I'm trying to do is take up or just rough up the surface in there. Make sure we don't have anything, you know, we want to clean out that surface and make sure we don't have any type of, you know, residue or anything like that that comes from the manufacturer that's going to, you know, not give us the type of bond that we want. And then the last thing I'm going to do is take a shop towel, stick that down in here. Nice and clean. All right, pull that out, pretty clean. So we're good to go. So we're prepared the surface for that. Okay, guys. So the next thing we want to do in preparation of the ferrule is, remember, when this ferrule goes onto the back end of this, the tip is already sealed from the tip top. So when I put this ferrule on, all the air will be trapped, and what's going to happen is going to continue to want to push this ferrule off. So what I like to do is I like to drill a hole in the backside right here in this notch. That way, when I go to put on the ferrule, it'll allow the air to escape and push some of that epoxy out. So what I'll do is go ahead, find a spot to drill the hole. All right, now we have our hole inside there, and clean that out. And then what will happen again, once this goes on to the bottom of the blank, it'll allow the air to come out and any additional epoxy to come out behind that. Okay, guys, so now that we have the hole, now that we have the hole inside the bottom of the ferrule, here's the big pro tip, right? Pro tip is you have to make sure that you add the locking nut onto the ferrule before you put it on to the bottom of your blank. All right. If you don't put that on, what will happen is you won't be able to properly secure the rod to the unibut because the locking nut won't be on there. So always make sure that you put the locking nut on first before you attach the ferrule to the rod bottom. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and take our 2-part epoxy. Again, I like using Pro Paste. I think it's a great product. You know, there's a lot of products out there again that you can use, but you know, I prefer to use the Pro Paste here. So, so I get my Part A down, my resin. my part B, my hardener. Then all I'm going to do is mix these two up. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, I always like to put some of the epoxy on the inside of the ferrule. So once that goes on, that'll help, keep some on the, make sure I have some on the inside. That'll all slide down. Then the next part I want to do is go ahead and attach it to the tape or the bottom part of the blank. And this is just going to help make sure I give a good nice bond with the epoxy. The good nice bond with the epoxy and the ferrule and the rod blank. I'll go ahead and put some down there on the inside for good measure. All right. So then the next thing I want to do, again, making sure I have that nut on that ferrule already installed. I'm going to start adding this on here. And I'm going to twist in the direction that my tape is on there. And push down. Now what I want to do is just come in here. Take some of this extra off. You can see it's already coming out of the bottom, right? Already coming out of the bottom, which is fine. So first thing I want to do is start cleaning up now. I've got some of my isopropyl alcohol with my shop towel. I'll start taking off some of this epoxy. And the reason, one of the reasons I like using epoxy, some people be like, hey, why don't you use 5-minute epoxy when you're attaching your ferrules for your unibuts to the rod blanks? Remember, there's a few things you got to do. One, you got to make sure you get it on there. And then two, you have to have a working time with it to make sure it lines up properly. So as you can see, we've got the ferrule cleaned up around the bottom of the foam. And I'll continue to clean that up a little bit. And then what we'll do is we will clean up back here on the back side of this. And then what I can do is just I have a stick or a piece of, bendable aluminum that I stick in there to help release that air. There we go. So you get all that air out. And that should stop pushing that epoxy out. All right. And then we should be good to go. And then the last thing that I need to do make sure that's all cleaned up. All right, and then the last thing I need to do is make sure I've got a good fit on the good fit onto the blank. Or excuse me, the last thing I need to do is make sure that I have a good fit between the ferrule and the unibut. All right, welcome back, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video on how to install unibuts like these and the ferrules that are associated with them. And I hope you got a lot out of it. If you did, please feel free to hit the share button and share the video with somebody you think that might find the information or the content useful. Also, if you liked it yourself and you didn't do it already, please hit the like button and turn on notifications and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be notified every time I release a video, which is twice a week, which is Mondays and Thursdays, where you can see videos on how to build your custom rods, gaffs, kite rods, and be sure to watch this next video here. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting ReelBlue Custom Rods. Until next time, take care, guys.